The first part of this next section is on multiplying polynomials. Now, in order to multiply polynomials, you probably need to know what one is. So here I've given you an example of what a monomial is and what a polynomial is. So if you look at both of these, obviously in a monomial we are just looking at one variable or one set of, you would probably think of it as a part of an equation. So this 3x squared is my monomial. And a polynomial contains two, like x to the third power plus 4. Okay, so if I'm going to multiply together these monomials and polynomials, I've first given you an example here of multiplying these two, 3x squared times x cubed plus 4. And all you're going to be doing is distributing just like you would in any kind of algebra problem. In an algebra problem, if you would have had, let's say you had 3 times x plus 2. Okay, in order to distribute this, you would multiply 3 by x, and you'd multiply 3 by 2, and get 3x plus 6. It's the same concept when we're multiplying these together. So what I've done is shown you how you can multiply 3x squared by x cubed, and 3x squared by 4. So that's what's done here on this first line, and that's just distribution. Then I'm going to go through and remember that when you multiply the variables together, if they have exponents, that these exponents get added together. So 2 plus 3 equals 5. All right, don't multiply the exponents together, add them together. So 3x squared times x cubed becomes 3x to the 5th. 3x squared times 4, you multiply the actual numbers together, not the variable. The variable will remain x squared. So 4 times 3 gives me 12, so this becomes 12x squared. So that is multiplying 3x squared times x cubed plus 4. That is my answer. That's my solution at the end. So let's practice doing this with a couple of problems. So here we have 3x squared times 2y plus 5x. So all I'm going to do is multiply 3x squared by 2y first. 3x squared times 2y. And then I'm going to multiply 3x squared times 5x. So two different operations here, just distribution. I'm going to multiply first in this problem the numbers together. So 3 times 2. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Now x squared and y I can multiply together, but they're not going to change. They're going to remain as x squared and as y. So this will be 6x squared y. And now we'll multiply everything over here. So I'm multiplying 3x squared by 5x. Multiply the numbers. 3 times 5 gives me 15. X squared times x, remember that above that x there's an imaginary 1. So I'll be adding the exponents together. X squared plus x1 would give me x to the third power. So that would be the final solution of multiplying 3x squared by 2y plus 5x. Let's look at example 2. Okay, here on example 2, I'll be multiplying the same thing. Everything in here, the negative 4c squared d cubed will be multiplied by 5c d squared. Seems like a lot, but all you're going to be doing is combining or multiplying these like terms. So first, let's multiply negative 4c squared d cubed by 5c d squared. Let's do that one by itself before we write anything else out. So I'll multiply the numbers, negative 4 and 5, that gives me negative 20. Now I'll multiply my variables. C squared times c, that means that there would be 3 c's there, so it would be c cubed. D cubed times d squared would give me d to the 5th power. So all I did was I multiplied everything from negative 4c squared d cubed by 5c d squared. Now I'm going to multiply negative 4c squared d cubed by 3c squared times d. So now I'm distributing all of this into this part of my parentheses, the 3c squared times d. So again, I'll multiply my numbers together. Negative 4 and 3 give me negative 12. C squared times c squared, there's 4c, so that would give me c to the 4th power. D to the 3rd times d would give me d to the 4th power. So this would be my distribution of negative 4c squared d cubed times 5c d squared plus 3c squared d. So you probably looked at this and just thought that's a bunch of crazy numbers and letters, but all you're doing is multiplying numbers or multiplying variables together. That's all you're doing through your distribution. So if you're multiplying x's together, you're adding their exponents. If you're multiplying the y's together, or the c's or the d's, you're just adding their exponents to each other. Now, we're also going to be multiplying a polynomial by a polynomial. Okay, so here in this example, I've multiplied x minus 2 by y plus 3x minus x squared. Now what I want you to do is pause this right now, okay, and write down all these steps that I took to find it, and then we'll talk about them. So pause it right now, write down all the steps, and then we'll come back as soon as you press play. Okay, you're back. So now, all I did here was I distributed with each one of these values inside this first parentheses. I multiply x by 1, 3x, and negative x squared, and then I multiply negative 2 by 1, 3x, and negative x squared. So x times 1 is x times 3x is 3x squared, x times negative x squared is negative x cubed. So this whole section right here that I got, this x plus 3x squared minus x cubed, I got from multiplying that x into the parentheses. And then this whole second section that I got, the negative 2 minus 6x plus 2x squared, I got by multiplying the negative 2 into the parentheses. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative x squared is positive 2x squared. Then what I did is if there was any like terms at all. So, and like terms does not mean I can't add x and x cubed, but I can subtract negative 6x from x because it's the same variable. It's not x squared, it's just x. So I went through and I put squares around everything that had an x, and a circle around everything that had x squared, and in the second section I combined those like terms. So here, the ones I put a square around, x minus 6x, gives me negative 5x. That's where that negative 5x comes from. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. Then the negative x to the third and the negative 2 didn't have anything to combine it with. There was not another x cubed anywhere. There was not another number anywhere. Okay, so those just stayed the same. And I just reordered these at the very end to where the one with the highest variable or exponent went first. So x cubed went first, 5x squared went second, negative 5x went third, and then the negative 2 stayed in the end. And the reason we're reordering them is because that's usually the order you're going to see them in whenever we do factoring, which is the next concept we're going to cover. Okay, so this is multiplying those polynomials. So let's practice here on this problem on the bottom. So I have 3x minus 2 times 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 3x by everything in this parentheses. So 3x times 2x squared gives me 6x to the third power. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x squared is x to the third power. 3x times 3x would give me 9x squared. 3x times negative 1 would give me negative 3x. So all these three numbers came from me multiplying first number in the parentheses by every number in this parentheses here. Now I'll do the same thing with negative 2. Negative 2 times 2x squared will give me negative 4x squared. Negative 2 times 3x gives me negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. So that set of three numbers came from me multiplying the negative 2 into the parentheses. So now I'm going to combine all my like terms and find them. There's nothing else that has x cubed, so that'll remain 6x cubed. I'm going to circle all the ones with x squared. 9x squared minus 4x squared will give me a positive 5x squared. I'm going to square everything that has just an x. So negative 3x minus 6x gives me negative 9x. And then that 2 is all by its lonesome, so that'll stay there as well. So we multiplied these polynomials together and got our final answer. So again, all this multiplying the monomials and polynomials together is just a matter of distribution. And then combining your like terms and then reordering them if you need to. So tomorrow you're going to be given this worksheet. Okay, and on this worksheet we're going to be going through and multiplying all these different polynomials and monomials together. So for example, here on number 1, I would multiply 3x by 4x, and that would give me 12x squared. Then I'd multiply 3x by 2, and that would give me 6x. And that would be my final answer, multiplying the monomial by the polynomial. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So you already have number 1 done on there, and we'll go over a couple more in class at the beginning of class.